You are watching. Pause. We pause for a second or two. How do we keep life coherent when so much is changing? This is episode 248, Studying Monetization. In today's episode, I will do a test of sorts. And what I will test is to test something for my own study. And I will test to see how it feels to put pausing and money in the same sentence. Pausing and money. Money and pausing. Thus far, me teaching pausing, talking about pausing, discussing what pausing could be, what it perhaps is not, has been sort of outside the realm of money. It has been free from the concept of money. There has yet not been any monetization of pause, of pausing. And today, the time has come to see how does it feel for me, being the one talking about pausing. How does it feel for me to talk about pausing in terms of money? Okay. The emotional situation of today's episode is our confused situation. It is for those times when the only thing we know is that there is something we do not know. We are walking in the dark. We cannot see. We know that we do not know. And the emotional skill of today's episode is our specific skill, internet. And it is specific for our confused situation. Specific skill, internet, is about us studying infrastructure. It is about us studying new and complicated infrastructure. And the internet is a good symbol for new and confusing infrastructure. So these two, our confused situation and specific skill internet, new and complicated infrastructure, are good starting points to talk about pausing and money. So, to my understanding, each and every one of us are good at things. I am good at pausing, and you are good at what you do. And when we have something we are good at, there are different ways for us to monetize what we are good at. Different ways to convert our skills, our knowledge, into money. And how we convert what we're good at into money is complex. Because not all skills are converted in the same way into money. Some skills are easily converted into money. Some skills are expected to be converted into money. And other skills are difficult to convert into money. Other skills are not expected to be converted into money. Some things are considered sacred and not be associated with money whatsoever. They should just be free from money. So, what we're good at and money is not straightforward. It is confusing. It's confusing. There's a lot we do not know about the dynamics between the two. And also, how we convert our skills to money is depending a lot on the infrastructure in which we live. So, if there is new and complicated infrastructure, specific skill internet, then we will be more confused as to how to convert our skills into money. Pausing and money. How do I feel about pausing and money? So, as I see it, there is strength in that pausing exists outside of the realm of money. There is great strength in that. In one sense, when something is free from the realm of money, in one sense, then anything and everything can be said. There are no strings attached. So if pausing would be completely free from money, in one sense, that would mean that pausing can be anything and everything. It's not tied to any material loyalties. It's just free. And I am, as a person, careful about giving up this sort of freedom to allow for pausing to be whatever it's supposed to be whatever it wants to be. There is great power in having a skill, having a concept that exists outside of the material world to a great extent. And I am careful about tying pausing up in material loyalties. Money always entails material loyalties. And then pausing will inevitably have strings attached. So we have talked about pausing in today's episode 248. And there has been no money involved. It's just pausing. But realistically, it's difficult to keep teaching something indefinitely and do it in a wholehearted way without compensation. It's simply materially difficult. So, if pausing and money will always be disconnected, it will be hard for me to keep teaching it. And then there will be no pausing. And there is something profound in this dilemma we're just talking about. That for something to be, for something to continue over a longer period of time, it often needs to associate itself with money, to be converted into money, to be monetized. But in doing so, it is, or at least my fear is that it will be corrupted into something that does not feel like pausing. It's something half, something decimated. And what one could do when studying monetization is to look at people who have taught similar practices similar to pausing, how they have monetized their skills, how they have made a living, how they have been compensated for their services. And it has always been about what infrastructure they have lived in. So let's say if we go way back in time, if we go a couple of 1,000 years ago or more, then perhaps a pausing kind of person like myself would be someone like the village shaman or the village wise person or the village strategist maybe, or some kind of priest. And often some of them were nomads, wanderers, and they went from place to place and got some in natura compensation, maybe some place to stay for the night, some food, maybe small amount of money, some compensation, something to trade with. And other sort of pausing kind of people perhaps were compensated by being taken care of, residing in a house maybe with more people and just sort of living with them there. If we move forward in history, a lot of pausing people became clergy, became priests and the like. And then they practiced something resembling pausing, like prayer or meditation or the like, within the institution of the church, for example. And then they were monetized in a sense by the compensation they got from the church. And then the church, in their turn, were compensated in different ways, depending on what period of time in history we're talking about. And then we move forward further to perhaps the last 100 years. Then we see one phenomenon we're seeing are coaches and mentors. And they usually have a company or a business and then charge the people they serve with a fee. And also the medical profession has in some ways had responsibility for teaching practices similar to pausing. And it's important here to specify that pausing is not to confuse with medical knowledge or medical advice. It's not. Pausing is a skill, and it's not to be substituted with medical knowledge. But that the medical profession has often taught things similar to pausing. So there's a difference there. So it would seem that there are many possibilities in how to monetize pausing. But it would seem that for pausing to keep developing long term, in some way it probably needs to be monetized. And today's episode has been about me getting a feel to how does it feel to talk about pausing and money in the same sentence. I think there is possibility there, because it goes beyond pausing, that no matter what we do, if you think, for example, about what you're good at, what you monetize, there is this sort of trade-off. There is this sort of complicated dynamics between what we do and getting paid for it, and how it feels to get paid for it. It can feel both good and bad. It can feel that it sort of acknowledges some things and corrupts other things. So, but for now, I will just spend some time allowing for my own confusion to just be confusion. Oftentimes, when we allow ourselves to be confused about something, it can sort of ease up on its own. And we will see some shapes in the dark, and suddenly something that felt confusing no longer does. So I will just be cool for now and just see how it feels that now I have begun talking about pausing and money in the same sentence, how to monetize pause possibly. To be compensated for teaching pausing. Pausing is the best thing I know, so it is worth everything. But the question is, in what kind of degree and in what way is it worth money? Or is it worth other things than money? What is that sort of complete picture of what pausing is worth? That's what it's about. But I am careful. It's important. That's it for today. Thank you.